Hey, what's up? It's Field Preston Highfield. Good to be back. Thanks so much for listening, liking, and subscribing on YouTube, Substack, Apple, and Spotify. Took a little time off post-college football season. Obviously broke down a bunch of college football pods after the Natty, but since then, been watching the NFL and took a week or two off without getting on the pod, so certainly felt great to be doing that. Pretty fascinated at this North Dakota State story about them joining the Mountain West. I think it's awesome for the Mountain West for sure. It's awesome for college football. I think it's awesome for the North Dakota State program, having the Fargo Dome in primetime TV. Well, maybe not primetime, but 7, 8, 9, 10 p.m. Eastern on CBS Sports Network more often. That'll be more fun than just the couple times a year we get to see them for the FCS Natty postseason. So I'll definitely have some thoughts on that. Maybe I'll drop that pod tomorrow or later in the week. But essentially I wanted to hop on, do an instant reaction Super Bowl pod. I don't know how you guys feel about Super Bowl parties. I went to one. I don't know if this is a curmudgeon take, but I think I'm done with Super Bowl parties. And the one I went to was really fun. Hosted by a friend in Austin. Bought a bunch of great food. Girlfriend made the vintage buffalo chicken dip, the BCD. Was amazing. But as someone who cares about the sport deeply, I don't know if I'm on board with getting around 15, 20, 30 people who are chatting the whole time. And oftentimes, I mean, I would say most of our crowd was not watching the game, which was wild to me. And I get that I'm a sports-obsessed person, but it was still wild to me. And then I was also just kind of intrigued by the fact that no one wanted to listen to the broadcast. So anyways, I think I certainly always do it for college football games. I don't get in big crowds for big college football games. I need to be watching the game. I need to watch every play, sometimes rewinding it back with the volume on loud. Like, I am not a passive football watcher at all, and I think I've known that for a long time, but was certainly confirmed that. But again, had a fun time. It's always fun socializing with folks, and talking about different angles, different who should win MVP. Jason Myers looked like he might win Super Bowl MVP. I was hitting that bandwagon hard. Those are fun discussions that happen during the game. But man, I'm right there. I've heard Kirk Herbstreit say it before, like he can't watch big games with people, and I couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. I think I've graduated to that officially, where it's like I don't like being around people during a big game. Maybe save for a big Ducks game here or there, but in general, I need to be locked in. I need to be locked in watching the game. But I was as locked in as I could be, and obviously watched the whole game. Got a bunch of different bullet points and headlines here to go through. I mean, I know that everyone wants to say the headline is that the Seahawks defense is historically great, and there are some numbers to back that up, like third best DVOA ever, whatever you want to go into. I went back through their schedule because watching the NFC title game, where the Rams obviously did more or less whatever they wanted to on offense in that game, and they certainly did that earlier in the season at Lumen as well in that 38-37 overtime loss. I was like, all right, so I've watched these Rams-Seahawks games, and the Rams are doing whatever they want to on the Seahawks defense. So I in no world am I going to call the Seahawks defense one of the best of all time. That being said, when you go back through their schedule, it is an impressive run. I won't name the names of every team, but so they lost week 1 to San Francisco 17-13 at home. Then and again, that's only giving up 17 points. Then they won by 7, or won and only gave up 17, won and only gave up 13, only gave up 20. Then they gave up 38 in a loss to Tampa Bay. So October 5th, they're 3-2 and just gave up 38 at home to a loss to Tampa Bay. So you're going, what's going on here? I mean, it's a good team for sure. I'll get to the Sam Darnold side of it in a second. But then they go on an absolute tear. Only gave up 12 to Jacksonville, 1 on the road. Only gave up 19, 14, 22, 21, 24, 0, 9, 16. Then there was that 38-37 insane game in overtime against the Rams where they go for 2 and get it. Then only 10 to Carolina, only 3 to San Francisco. Then the playoff comes. They only give up. They beat San Francisco 41-6. That was an absolute roundhouse of a game. First round knockout. Then the Rams game was epic, right? The NFC title game was absolutely epic. They win 31-27. And so you're going like, all right, sometime, and they got a huge stop in that game, a huge stop late. Most of the time, this defense is elite, but when they played the Rams torched them, and I think that just speaks to how unreal McVay is and how unreal Stafford is, and obviously he's a deserving MVP. Stafford threw for 374 yards and 3 touchdowns with no picks on 35 pass attempts on the road in Seattle in the NFC title game, and they lost. Like, that is one of the best performances. Looking back on it, that is probably one of the best performances in a losing effort in the NFC title game you will ever see. Like, on the road in Seattle against what everyone's calling a historically elite defense, you throw for almost 400 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks, and you still lose. And by the way, those were not garbage time stats by any means. Like, they were in the lead or right there jockeying for the lead the entire game. There was nothing garbage time about what Stafford did in that game. It was all, in the moment. Seahawks going as hard as they possibly could. Obviously, they needed to get a stop late. Stafford goes for Terrence Ferguson. Shout out T. Ferg in the back of the end zone on that 4th down. Doesn't hit him. Doesn't put a good ball on him. And they lose 31-27. But incredible game by the Rams and McVay in the NFC title game, as it turns out, because, man, New England could not do anything on offense in this game at all. It was 9-0 at halftime. It was 16-0 at one point. It was maybe 19-0 and then 19-7. It was a blowout, and the Patriots could do just nothing on offense. I don't even think it was entirely Drake May's fault. We're seeing stuff come out like, oh yeah, I know he had to get shot up for a shoulder injury, and I think Patriots fans probably hope that he did have a shoulder injury after the way that game went, because going into it, I was still not sure if the Patriots offense was any good. They were good enough to win, but watching the Chargers game, and again, obviously you have a 23-year-old quarterback, very, very, very young, second youngest quarterback to ever even play in a Super Bowl game, so incredibly impressive already from Drake May to be, this mature, this good of a game manager, etc. But he gets the Chargers game, they won 16-3. The Chargers offense, to be fair, did way less. They didn't do anything that entire game. May was put in really good spots by his defense, and they still only scored 16. Against Houston, C.J. Stroud turned the ball over 19 times in that game, so there was really no way to judge. Like, I thought Houston was the best defense in the league this year, still do. Shanahan sounds like agrees with that, but I was like, I don't know how I'm supposed to judge this 28 points. And again, I'm not trying to shut it down, but C.J. Stroud gave you the ball a billion times in this game. And then, Sam Darnold finally was a competent quarterback and protected the ball, and they won the Super Bowl. So to me, that was really the story. Is, yeah, Seattle's defense is up there being historically great, but the Sam Darnold reclamation project and Mike McDonald being this good at 38, and just in general, where do you land? Do you land more so, are you critical of the Patriots, or are you complimentary to the Seahawks? I think you got to be complimentary to the Seahawks. I mean, they had a couple different guys. First of all, Jackson Smith and Jigba, a tremendous player, most unguardable receiver in the league for my money. I think he had he led the league in receiving yards, 1,700 yards or so this year. He was truly unbelievable. Got banged up in this game, but he beat Christian Gonzalez a couple times, and Darnold didn't really put it on him. I actually thought everyone's praising Christian Gonzalez, who is a great, great, great player, all-pro player. And Jigba got him a couple times, and Darnold didn't put it on him in the first half before he got hurt. But still, to be fair, really good job by Gonzalez on Jackson Smith and Jigba. But that's just the thing, is even when their best player wasn't eating, basically 4 catches, 27 yards for JSN. Cooper Kupp, 6 grabs, 61 yards. And then Kenneth Walker, them running the ball was basically the story of the game. Usually the Patriots have been able to stop everyone's run. Against the Chargers had no chance to run the ball. The Texans, they made C.J. Stroud look like he was seeing ghosts out there. And the Seahawks ran the ball well. Kenneth Walker is an absolute dog. Mel Tucker should give him some of that money that he still has from Michigan State. Kenneth Walker could have won the Heisman that year. He was that unbelievable after he transferred in from Wake to Michigan State that season. And obviously he'd been really, really good this year, splitting carries with Zach Charbonnet, so he wasn't getting all the glory. Charbonnet gets hurt down the stretch. It's Walker's team, and he didn't score a touchdown because basically no one scored a touchdown in this game. But 135 yards, very deserving MVP. I thought at one point during the game, I was waffling back and forth and talking with people who I was at the party with. who's going to win MVP. And Kenneth Walker, by the end of the first quarter, it was like, it looks like he's on track. Halftime, he was definitely on track. Third quarter, it was like minus 330 for him to win. But I honestly thought that Jason Myers, Seahawks kicker, especially when they scored their first 4 scores of the game on field goals, I thought he could have potentially won Super Bowl MVP, man. Now there was a time where he was plus 1,200, then it went up to plus 1,500 and plus 1,800. But I don't know if the Seahawks don't score a touchdown, does Jason Myers win MVP? I've looked it up. There's never been a kicker in Super Bowl history to win an MVP. But if there ever was a time, I guess you probably need to go 4-4 or 5-5. You need to have a couple moments, like hit a 55-yarder or like hit the game winner, obviously. If you have a moment on top of an unreal day, on top of the fact that no one really scored on offense, then I think you got something for you. Also, you could have gone Devin Witherspoon. You could have gone with really any of the D linemen that the Seahawks have, Byron Murphy and Dexter Lawrence. DeMarcus Lawrence. I always say Dexter Lawrence, sexy Dexy. Reed was really good. So, yeah, dude, I guess just looking at the Seahawks defense, I'd watched them get kind of worked by the Rams, and I was like, all right, is the defense really this good? Although, they did get a crucial stop down the stretch in the NFC title game against the Rams. But it was this good. It's just that outside of the Rams and the Bucks, no one else moved the ball well at all on this team all year long. So I really think that's your story is, I like the Darnold redemption angle. And here's, obviously he didn't have to do, I don't even want to say he didn't have to do a ton because I thought he played really well in managing the game and not turning the ball over. Early on in the first half, the Patriots were getting after Darnold, and it looked like there were a couple like out route throws, or I think that one quick throw to Barner earlier in the game. There were a couple throws where I was like, damn, that was almost a pick. And it did feel like the Patriots were kind of ready to grab a pick or force a fumble. It was dicey early, tight windows, etc. But Darnold did a great job of not turning the ball over. I know that sounds basic, but like when they were up 9-0 at half and he managed the game well and got them in field goal position to kick that field goal before half, I was like, dude, he's just managing the game really well. And things finally opened up a little bit. They tried to take that deep shot early to Rashid Shaheed, and again, it was underthrown. I also thought he had Njigba for a tutty, and he underthrew that. But he played pretty well. And what I really want to say is his golden iconic moment of this season to me was in the NFC title game. That was the game of his life. He was so locked in. He basically outdueled Stafford, who was unbelievable in that game, and they needed him to be great in that game to win. In this game, in the Super Bowl, the Seahawks didn't really need Darnold to be great. I think he was very good. I think him not turning the ball over against an elite defense is something to be applauded for sure. I think Berman gave the stat that he was the first Super Bowl winning quarterback ever to not have a turnover at any point during the postseason, which is kind of a crazy stat. But anyways, and by the way, I love Berman's post-game show for the Super Bowl every year. It's so good. He picks and chooses his spots, and then he's like bigger than the personalities themselves, than the athletes and the coaches themselves, just because of his longevity and his greatness and his presence. It's really wild to see. Like, you can tell intimidate's not even the right word. Not that he's not intimidated by them. He just like, he is bigger than, like, they had Jackson Smith and Jigba on, and it was just like, it was almost like JSN's fortunate to be next to Berman rather than the other way around, which is wild. But that's what happens when you're 60-something or 70-something. You've been doing it forever. But just kind of a random media side note there. But yeah, I think Darnold's gold moment came in the NFC title game, because without him playing truly amazing football, they don't win that game. And then, dude, if he has a clunker against a pretty good Rams defense, the Rams defense, for some reason, it wasn't as good down the stretch. But if he has a clunker in that game and they lose, it's kind of like, oh, man, same old Sam Darnold. Like, good season, won a home playoff game against the Niners, but couldn't really get it done against the Rams. Because the Rams were a Super Bowl-worthy team this year, I think, and so were the Texans. Those were my other Super Bowl kind of worthy teams. But, if he plays poorly in that NFC title game and they lose, it's like, Yeah, dude. I don't know if he's got it, but so he proved everyone wrong, man. He played incredible in that game. That was his legacy game, and then obviously you need to play well enough to win the game in the Super Bowl, and I thought he did. His final line was 19 of 38, 202, touchdown, no picks, no INTs, moved around in the pocket pretty well. And so, anyways, man, happy for Darnold, happy for McDonald, happy for that defense, and that's kind of where I stand on that. On the Patriots side of it, obviously amazing season. Obviously, Vrabel and Drake May are your guys, no doubt about it. Milton Williams, great signing. Christian Gonzalez, great player. Seems like you need a little more on offense. I don't know if that's... It just felt so conservative on offense in this game. And it's been conservative all postseason, don't get me wrong. Like, it was... As someone who was completely locked into that Chargers game, it was insanely conservative against the Chargers, too. It's just that it worked. You could run the ball a little better. Dude, it was so conservative in this one, and obviously they tried to open up late, and he throws the pick, and you get why it was conservative to a degree, but... I don't know if you're gonna win at the highest level when you play that conservative. And everyone wants to make fun of their historically easy schedule. I want to say second easiest schedule in NFL history behind the 72 Dolphins is the stat that I read. So make fun of that all you want, but still obviously a great season for them. I mean, you go from a couple of really rough years post TB12 to a rough year last year, and then suddenly you're in the Super Bowl, you win 14 regular season games, and you feel like Drake May is the guy. That's about as good of a season as you could ask for if you're a Patriots fan. And that's kind of the crazy thing about both these teams is going into the year, neither of them, I mean, there was certainly plenty of hype around the Patriots having the ability to have a big turnaround. And there was hype around the Seahawks defense, and the intrigue with the Darnold signing. But I don't think either of these teams were like, oh yeah, dude, we're feeling like Super Bowl favorites or Super Bowl champs. The Seahawks were 60-1. They're like one of the 10 most unlikely pro sports winners ever based on preseason rankings, which is kind of nuts. 60-1 in the preseason odds, I should say. So yeah, I mean that was kind of an interesting side of it too. Is like both these teams probably felt pretty fortunate just to even be in the game. And I think the Pats were too conservative. I think Drake May is great. He's only 23. He's going to be great. Obviously, rough game for him. You wonder about that shoulder injury. But I think they'll probably need to open it up a bit more on offense. And you trust McDaniels. It just felt like it was like a lot of screens and some average runs, and May took off once or twice with his legs that looked, where you were like, all right, yeah, here's Drake May of old with his legs. His legs were a factor against the Chargers. They're a big factor in general this season. But that Seahawks defense is just nasty, man. The DeMarcus Lawrence signing, long-time Cowboy. Really like Reed. Obviously drafting Byron Murphy was an incredible hit. Witherspoon was an incredible draft pick a couple years ago. Who else do they have? Reek Woolen was good. Julian Love gets a lot of hype. Safety. Reed, the other D lineman from Bama. Dude, Michael Dixon? MVP, maybe? Great day punting the ball. Also made a nasty hit. Kind of nasty. And yeah, man, I mean, Uchenna Nwosu, former Charger, comes up with the defensive touchdown off the hit, the deflection, if you will. I didn't really think the game was over until that. It just never felt like. I mean, at 9-0, it was of course anyone's game at half, but 12-0 going into the fourth, and I guess when they scored to make it 19-7, it was like, all right, well, they're not even down 2 full touchdowns. The Patriots could find a way here. But then they had that 3 and out, and dude, the Seahawks defense, man, I think it was that good of a unit. That D line, dude, a D line of Murphy, Lawrence, Leonard Williams, and Jaron Reed, that is gross. That is a gross unit. Obviously, you got some really good safeties as well, and Witherspoon was a great draft pick, and then the pickup of Nwosu from the Chargers like 2 years ago. He's been great for them. So, I mean, dude, Seahawks win it, man. Seahawks win it, and I will say I was really bummed from Jody. Disappointed in Jody Allen that we didn't get a Paul Allen shout out. Obviously, Paul bought the team many moons ago along with the Blazers, and it ends up passing away. Jody inherits everything. She'll reportedly sell it. That was kind of a funny story that came out during the week. Jody Allen will sell the team. It was like, okay. Robert Kraft, I see you. I see you putting in that work, tipping off reporters to make them feel cool enough to write an article about it and maybe paying them. But it didn't work. The media tactic, the media warfare tactic did not work on Robert Kraft's end, did not distract the team. They still rallied and won. And hey, now Jody gets the laugh because Seahawks are going to be a lot more expensive than they were a month ago or even 2 days ago after winning the Super Bowl.